one's called Orange too.
Afternoon or early evening or evening, depending on where you are in this broad, wide country of ours that spans over multiple time zones. Hello, welcome to the Frankfort Report. I'm Darryl Frankfort. It is April 25th, 2025, and we are getting close to the election, everybody. It is D-Day on Monday, and it's getting close, and it's getting scary, and I don't know which side of the aisle you fall on or over or stand on. I don't know which side you're on, liberal, conservative. Maybe you're one of the 3 NDPs in the country currently. I don't know where you stand, but welcome. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. The awful James Roffle is here. Charlottetown, of course. D-Man, wrong as usual, Frank the Tank. We are streaking through the quad all day, all night. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. You guys are the best audience of the land, quite honestly. So much to talk about. Holy shit, we got the election. Looking like Mr. Carney's going to win, or maybe rather... Mr. Poilievre is going to blow it, it seems. We're going to talk about, are conservatives voting for Carney? What the hell's going on? Are people starting to waffle? Are people jumping sides? Are people transitioning midstream? Have people been swayed, really, is the question. Have people been swayed by all of the... advertisements, propaganda, lies, baloney? We're going to get into that. How corrupt is Carney? Somebody made a wonderful video that if you haven't seen it, it's a long video, but I think we should look at it if we're interested in knowing how corrupt our future prime minister might end up being. Okay, because, well, actually, he's our current prime minister. So just how corrupt our current prime minister is. Okay. And I don't know. I see a lot of people saying, and I am one of them, but I see a lot of other people saying stuff like, if the Liberals win, I'm fucking out of here. I am leaving Canada for good. It's enough. And so could you, are you thinking about leaving Canada if the Liberals win? Or maybe you're thinking about leaving Canada if the Conservatives win. I don't know where you stand on this side of things. Here, that's got to be centered a little better. Is that centered? It's centered more than it was a few minutes ago. So if you're new to this, welcome, and do me a favor. Why don't you hit a button? It helps out with the algorithm, apparently. I don't know. We could use all the help we can get around here because literally, we're lucky if 9 people watch this show. It's not a very good show. We're trying our best. We're getting better every 3rd episode or so. Sometimes we move back a couple of steps, but we're trying. Well, that's not even true. We're not trying our hardest. We're trying our hardest to just be here, okay? It's hard enough to just be here. I have no idea why I put myself through this. I'm very busy. I'm a very busy guy. You don't understand. I'm very busy. Okay, I think there's too much conservative support where it might not matter how much interference there is, but you never know. Liberals are sleazy, says DJ Dan B. DJ Jan B. Okay, so he's hoping that the overwhelming showing of conservative support out there at the rallies and on shows like this and in comment sections and on Twitter, X, wherever the hell, uh, he's hoping that the overwhelming show of an overwhelming majority vote or support, I would say, is going to overshadow the sleazy lies and cheating ways of the Liberal Party. Hopefully you're right, but it's looking grim. It's looking grim. You even got guys like Jordan Peterson going on Joe Rogan saying things like, just like I'm saying, that we understand why people would be, on the surface level, cool with having Mark Carney over anybody, quite honestly. You can make a really good case for it. But let's see. What else are we saying here? Mr. Worldwide. I have no idea what that means, James Roffle, but thank you for saying it. CGPA Puppet News says, who dresses you? Your mother. Yes. Dumb Money says, what's up? Why don't you call in, Dumb Money? God damn it. Let's see. I'm not a habitual liar, so I would have to go with voting conservative. Liberal and NDP are grifters, says RM. Okay, thank you very much. Never 51. I'm guessing you mean never 51st state. Make your title great again. I'm sorry. I don't want this to be the case. This is just how I'm feeling right now. And it's not because I want to be feeling like this. I feel like this because I'm getting hit with lots of propaganda. And on top of it, I'm meeting people that are liberal. And hopefully somebody's going to call in today that I'm positive is a liberal and is probably, I know. Well, here we go. We got a caller, everybody. You guys are going to love this one. Hold on one moment, please. Let me get this ready. Here we go. We have a caller on the line. The GOAT of the Canadian real estate podcasting sphere, Steve Karish, is here.
What's going on, D?
How are you, sir?
I'm not doing bad, man. I'm hanging in here,
Thank you.
Not doing deals on the West Coast. What are you up to? What's the topic of today's controversy here?
Currently, we are discussing who we think is going to win the election on Monday. And what I'm saying is that I feel like the tides have turned. I feel like the Conservative Party is toast.
Yeah, so the CBC propaganda has worked, has it?
Well, it's not only CBC, though. That's the thing, is I feel like I'm getting it from everywhere. And then I don't know if you
live in Toronto. You guys are the guys that are going to vote him in.
Well, this is the thing, is like I'm starting to talk to people that I know and that I've known for a long time that I would just, assume are smarter than apparently they are. Or, I mean, listen, people have different perspectives. People have different reasons. And I don't know. I'm seeing and meeting more of them, right? And they seem to be multiplying. And I can see why a lot of people would be okay with Carney, like from a certain perspective.
Because we need a bigger gangster than the States has? Is that what it is?
It's not that. It's that they're painting for all those people out there that don't go past the CBC or the Toronto Star or whatever the big thing out there in BC is, like the propaganda machines. For those people that don't get past the propaganda machines, which there are many of them, I think they've painted a wonderful picture of this guy to bamboozle everyone.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely the propaganda machine, I think, has worked to some degree. I mean, I think we've gone from Justin Vader to Emperor Palpatine here.
Right.
This is kind of the way it appears to be going. The guy, is he the best guy to handle Trump? That's probably actually true. Is Trump a big problem? I don't think so, but that's fine.
Not a problem. But he's the
No,
guy to
man.
handle
What is
Trump's.
this? This is Silicon Valley Bank all over again. There's
Hmm.
no way they're gonna do. They're gonna, come on. Are they gonna bring in tariffs like that? It's you. You know he's not gonna be bringing tariffs like that. Do you think
Uh,
they're gonna just start production in the states of all the things that? How much you want to pay for a
no,
T-shirt?
no,
$750 for a T-shirt that's made by some 19-year-old girl in Iowa? Like, come on, it's not gonna happen. They got to keep making that stuff in Vietnam. That's just the way it is.
that's just the way that it probably should be. But it seems like he's kind of digging his heels in, hook or crook. No,
I don't know. I don't see it.
I,
I
I,
don't see how it can actually happen long term. I think it's going to be Silicon Valley Bank all over again. It's going to be everything all over again. It's going to be another thing that we don't think about in 3 months from now and 6 months from now. And then we're going to end up with a government that thinks it's pretty cool to spend $60 billion deficits, right? So, $60 billion deficits is the future of Canada. So enjoy it. I think if the Liberals get in, I'm going to buy as much real estate as possible as fast as possible because it's going to inflate greatly in the not in the short term, but in the long term.
in the long term. Well, so was that in question at all? Regardless, like I feel like long term real estate is still a safe bet
Oh, of course, but I think more so
under
under a
liberal.
government that would prefer to inflate things, right? If you inflate things, you inflate away your debt, which apparently is, I mean, Mark Carney's theory is spend until your economy beats your spending, which I don't think really works. At least it doesn't in my personal pocketbook. Maybe it does at the national level when you can just hold everybody ransom for their taxes. But yeah, I mean, maybe should I be a little bit more spiteful though? Like, should I be like, okay, you idiots, you guys all voted this guy in, deal with it.
Well,
Like
but we have to
that's
deal
how
with it
I feel.
too, right? Like we have to deal with it. We can't. Are you gonna just be like, okay, so it's Carney, like, okay, move on?
I mean, I think you
Kind of have
kind
to, right?
at that point you kind of have to.
You kind
You
of
kind of
have
have
to.
to. But like,
Shit.
you're sitting here, ringing the alarm as best you can for everybody, going, "Hey, maybe we should correct course." And everybody's so terrified over one tiny little um,
Nothing
event,
burger, right?
call it.
That
Yeah, I personally think so. Like, it's not going to be something. Listen, COVID defined the last decade.
Mhm.
This trade war is not going to define the last decade,
This trade
right? It's
war,
not,
not if
or the
it's
next decade.
short lived, but I mean, you see in the background, things are kind of happening between the countries that are all pissed off with Trump, and people are starting to make different alliances and make different deals for trade. Um, oh, how do I get Mark Morris on the line too?
So do you think the whole conspiracy theory with Carney getting everybody to sell off their bonds is a legit thing? Did you hear about that?
I heard about that, and I think it seems like a genius level move if it's the truth. Um,
If it's the truth, he's probably the most connected guy in order to get that done. And that's why I'm saying he's going to be a bigger. He's what did you were talking about Jordan Peterson on Rogan. Jordan Peterson says, "Hey guys, this is the wolf in grandma's clothing, right?
right.
This is the guy everybody thinks is is soft and gentle and kind, and watch out what you're getting."
Watch out what you're getting for sure. Hey, do you know Mark Morris, the lawyer, the guy we've had on a few times? Have you seen him?
I think we spoke once on
Did you?
one of your New Year's ones, maybe, or something.
Are you okay if I try a three-way call with him?
You can try.
Let's see if it
Nothing like a
works.
three-way with Darryl.
You get out. You get ready. It'll be quick. Hold on, I'm trying. I'm trying to add him in. This is a new feature, everybody. I don't know if it's going to work. I think it's working. I think it's working. Are you
Hey
there?
guys.
Hey,
Yes, I
okay.
am.
Not only do we have the goat of Canadian real estate podcasting, Steve Karish, on the line from the best Canadian real estate podcast, The Tom Story Show. Now we have Mark Morris on the line. This is like, it's like Christmas for Jews. I don't even know what that means, but thanks for both being here. This is fantastic. So Steve's saying that, well, so hold on a sec. What were you saying, Steve? Steve's kind of saying that all this tariff
We're
stuff is nonsense and that everybody's
and we're trying
gonna.
to figure out if Carney is Palpatine or the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood. It's one or the other.
Well, you got to be
I hear.
careful because Mark is a liberal.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, yes, well, I'm a soft liberal. I'm someone who traditionally votes liberal, but honestly, the past 10 years were not remarkable in terms of productivity, growth, or really, I can't really say it's benefited our country overall. And, now we have a decision before us that is as much about the liberal record as it is the conservative potential and Carney's potential. And we have to kind of weigh all three of those things. But you can't leave the past behind and turn a blind eye to the failure that took place economically in this country, for sure.
You know what I'm really mad about here is it's our tradition in Canada to vote out the guy we don't like, not to vote in a guy we do like. And we don't get that opportunity here.
Do
Our
we?
whole thing was to watch Justin get destroyed in an election and we were all going to enjoy it. And they did a whole switch and they've got a new guy in. And now you have the guys that never liked Poilievre get to not like Poilievre, but we don't get to not like Carney.
You know what's
You know what I
funny?
mean?
They took it from us, right? They took that from us.
Have you heard David Frum's take on this? It's actually very funny. David Frum, who, by the way, if you're not listening to, he's a must listen. He's a brilliant man, and really his semblance about U.S. and Canadian politics are something that really guides discussion, I think. But he basically comments about the difference between the Americans and the Canadians, and in the American system, it doesn't matter what happens. It's party above all, and the parties adhere to these principled stands at all times. And there you go. And his comments on the Liberals are all they care about at their base is, I'm not saying I agree with this, but this is his comment, is crass power. What's that? The thing that we've been basing our entire platform around for 10 years? You don't like it? Well, jettison it. It's never been ours. We're going to take the credit for getting rid of it. It's right. Like, it's a remarkable turnaround that they're doing. And it must be incredibly frustrating to be conservative at this point, because all the things that you guys have been screaming about for 10 years, the Liberals are like, instead of sitting there and fighting on that and fighting on the merits, they're basically defenestrating Poilievre, who, by the way, is turning out to be I think we can admit this, separate and apart from everything else, he's a piss poor politician. He has not been able to turn on a dime. He hasn't been able to react to Carney. He hasn't been able to react to the tariffs, separate and apart from the fact that the Conservatives deserve a turn and that the West needs representation. And there's a whole range of other reasons to vote for the Conservatives in this election cycle. One of those reasons is definitely not Carney's ability to seemingly kind of go with where the winds take them, the way the Liberals are seemingly able to. They don't seem to have any policy at all. Whatever it is that they were standing for, they are now standing for something totally different with the new guy. And I can see that being a totally frustrating experience if I belong to the other party.
Oh, it's because it's only become there is only one thing that anyone from about the center to the left is voting on right now, and that's the big angry orange man. It's the only thing they care about. All this bullshit that we were talking about, net zero, that we're talking about DEI, all that stuff is gone. Nobody cares. The real story for me here is to see how what I view as, I'm going to be quite blunt and say cowards that would back up an NDP style government of all this craziness. They've flip-flopped immediately, and those are the people that I think are leading the charge to go let Palpatine be in power. They're going to switch away because anything is better. As long as you say the right things about net zero and all this different crap, anything is better than the guy that wants to do pipelines, even the net zero guy that wants to do pipelines.
But can I ask you something? Like, that's all well and good, but let's not let the Conservatives off the hook entirely. I mean, truthfully, do you know what Poilievre's position is vis-a-vis the orange monkey down south? Do you know, really, outside of being against the carbon tax, where has he been on the developments that have been taken, the seismic developments that have taken place? over the past 3, 4, 5 weeks. I don't know about you. I get what you're saying. I even acknowledge what you're saying to a degree. But where has the leader of the Conservative Party been in staking out new ground, in reacting to massive disruptions to our economy and to our way of life? I don't know. I'm following this pretty avidly. I think more avidly than most. I have no understanding of why this man can't actually carve out a new position. I'm still seeing him in the same light that I saw him in 6 weeks ago, immersed in the same issues as 8 weeks ago, and the world has changed, and he has not. And that
No,
doesn't.
no, no. The world hasn't changed. The world hasn't changed. I don't believe that to be true. What's
Why?
happened is when your opponent goes, well, I'm just going to make all your popular opinions my opinions, is it your obligation to then go find a new, more popular opinion?
Well,
Maybe in the game of politics, but in real life, he's just basically Carney's coming out and he's doing one of two things, not publicly. He's either saying, one, I'm a liar and I've lied about everything I've talked about for the last 10 years, my adult life and my book that I wrote, or two, I was wrong. He's not saying either of those things. He's just going, you know what? I'm going to try and stay in power. I want power because I'm a career bureaucrat. Now I'm going to try the politics thing and I want to run a country. And this is my way I'm going to get power. Personally, I think he's lying. I don't think he's going to do any of the things. Well, they're all lying, let's face it. But
yeah, I agree with that.
right
But
now, do I think Poilievre's great? I don't think Poilievre's great. I mean, I took the bloody CBC tracker, and guess what? I should be voting for the PPC apparently. So
Oh,
it's
well,
like it's just you're never going to get. I'm smart enough to know you're never going to get in with that, just like you're not going to get in using the green platform.
well, if I may for a second, if I'm to accept everything, and you'll forgive me for being lawyerly here, but that is my daily job. Your entire last statement was predicated upon you do not believe it to be true that the world has changed. And I think it's a self-evident reality to every one of us who follows the news that indeed that is not the case, that it very much has. And I'd be interested to hear, I'm not saying that to challenge you, I'm interested to hear how it is you can possibly imagine that the world hasn't changed, given the the seismic way that we are no longer able to trust what is and has historically been our closest ally. How do you justify that particular position? Because if you accept that position, then okay, everything you said follows. But I don't accept your preposition that the world hasn't changed. I see it as fundamentally changed.
So you think then, if you see it as fundamentally changed, that the US is somehow going to magically onboard all of their own manufacturing and then sell extra to the world of which they have no plans on buying from? Like it's not going to happen. It's just
No,
simply not going to happen.
no. You assumed what I was saying was that, but that's not even close. What I was assuming, what has fundamentally changed is we have gone from a robust U.S. economy to one that is now accepting recession. That is true, by the way, of the globe as a whole. Similarly, security alliances are now in flux, such that Canada is now looking. I forget about what Canada is looking to. Who cares what Canada is looking to in the globe? But Europe has now been cast adrift. The NATO alliance is undergoing a fundamental reshift. Moreover, investment decisions that were easily made are no longer doable, regardless of what happens as a result of the retreat of tariffs, specifically because of the economic uncertainty that will take place if there is a next, if there is a subsequent administration in the United States that comes forward with different policies. I don't see how you don't see these things as fundamental to global power shifts and dynamics. I fundamentally do. And as a result, I see the world as having been changed. And I think Canadians are deserving of politicians that ultimately react to that change. If you don't think that any of these things are substantive or fundamental changes, okay, no problem. Your position makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be long-term fundamental changes because you either have a government that's going to change over again in 3 years, 3.5 years, whatever, in the States, or you have a multitude of different things. I firmly believe, and put me on record, maybe I'm wrong. It's very possible. I usually am, but if there is this same topic to be dealt with in 6 months, I'll be absolutely shocked and surprised.
Well, do you mean, and again, I'm not trying to be abrasive here, but when you say the same topic, do you mean the repercussions of this topic, or do you mean still dealing with the idea of tariffs? Because I agree with you. I think tariffs are unsustainable. I think they're going to go away. I don't think that there's any way that this continues long term. It's just there. You know, I think Trump, faced with the prospect of the fact that the shelves are going to be empty for Christmas, fundamentally will change things in the bond market. Seemingly has vested control, and that there's a variety of reasons to think that there will be a back down by the administration. But that's a very different factor than the repercussions of having done this in the first place. My concern is the repercussions of having done this in the first place, not whether or not it will back down.
Yeah, I think you guys are talking about two different things where uh, maybe the tariffs go away sooner than later because they were a bad move or a mistake or they renegotiate or whatever it is. But it's the realization that we can't trust those guys anymore, and a lot of people coming to that same realization and reconfiguring alliances in not even in the background. It seems to be in the foreground. I personally also see that there should at least be a fundamental shift in the way that the world works based on not knowing whether or not, you know, you can trust the agreement you have in place with your biggest customer or the world leader or whatever, the reserve currency provider. I think that does change the way the world works moving forward. But maybe we don't have as deep an effect from the tariffs as we're anticipating right now.
That's fair.
I just don't see a spot where any country long term necessarily shifts unless absolutely forced to away from the states. The issue here has not realistically, from what I can see, has not realistically been how do we actually make it to other markets, and for instance maybe cut interested in that. They're interested in finding out how do we make the deal with the states so we can get back to as close to as quote unquote normal as possible. So if that's going to be the case, then I think we're probably going to have fairly short memories of this whole thing, and we're going to go back to some level of what was before. And the reason I think that, let me give you, in my industry of real estate, you know how many people are reaching out to me about thinking pre-sales are great ideas right now?
Are you serious? What?
I can't believe it. And I'm like, where have you stuck your head for the last 5 years? I don't know where it's been. It
That's not.
might be up your ass. I don't know where it is. But you, like, the amount of people that are thinking, like, there's a new breed of idiots coming out all the time. And no matter what, we're going to have short memories. I just feel like that. I don't feel like this is, for instance, like a military action where maybe you grow this ever growing hatred for your neighbor next door. I think this is going to be like a fight between mom and dad, and eventually they'll get over it and they'll find out whatever that new normal is with whatever new tariff level they have or whatever new trade deal they have, and I think it's going to go back to normal.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I think that we do need to take a breath, which is, to your credit, exactly what you're saying, because I think what's happened here is dad has punched mom, and it's not to say that once physical violence has erupted in a marriage can't be repaired, but it will never be forgotten, and it will inalterably change the relationship. You want to cheat on your wife? Yeah, there's many people who have happy marriages after you cheat on your wife. I'm not saying to you that that's not the case. I'm saying to you that that changes things fundamentally, which get back to my point. I think there's fundamental change afoot. And if we're to bring this back to the reason we started talking about this, if you believe that there has been fundamental change, if you believe that we are the wife that has been struck, you may not, but I do. If you believe that, then where is Poilievre with the reaction to this new world? And that is what is sorely missing. I'm ready to accept the fact that the Liberals do not deserve this one as a party. They do not. They do not. They fucked up the economy. They did. They have to own it. And I'm a Liberal, but if you don't start by acknowledging realities, then you're not worth speaking to, and you're not worth having a head on your
But
shoulder.
that's a reality from someone voting from your, or that has a political leaning to your side of the leaning. There's a whole lot of people that don't necessarily, for instance, myself, who it's not really an issue, right? I don't view it. Now, is it a big deal? Sure, it's a big deal, but is it going to be a big deal over the next 4 years of this next government? I don't think so. And I think they've successfully duped all of the boomers and all of the NDP voters into going, you know what? You're right. There is a big bad dude there, and we need our own, like, why the heck we've gone through all this crap and then we're turning into another old crusty white guy with terrible ideas to try and fix this problem I can't figure out, right? I just don't I don't have the fear, and it is fear, and it's driven by our media, particularly because it's not here on Darryl's channel or anywhere else. Everybody else there on YouTube is looking for a change. It's driven by legacy media where you've been COVID-19'd into fear that Donald Trump is the next big terrible thing, and I don't think conservatives think that to be the case. And if anything, they might actually want to look at some of those ideas for our own country to go, hey, maybe that's the type of thing we should be doing for our country and looking out for our country. And that's not, in my mind, what the liberals are doing. The liberals are standing up there, particularly Mark Carney, and he called it. He even said it in the debate. He called it the Trump crisis. Come on, get out of here, the Trump crisis. But guess what? My mom, my dad, I'm sure they're all going to be voting because Trump is the biggest thing. I had somebody the other day that I met, and they told me this Trump thing is bigger than the lockdown of COVID. And I'm like, are you telling
What?
me that this news cycle of tariffs that haven't affected me at all yet, by the way, I don't know about you guys, but for me, they haven't affected me at all yet, is bigger than being locked in your home for 2 years? Get the hell out of here. The media is doing a very good job. And unfortunately, all of our voting is just towards the city centers, and Toronto and Montreal are going to vote in the Liberals through whatever seat charts that are there. And I think we're going to be stuck with a guy pivoting and then probably going back to the book that he wrote, which is all of his core principles, which basically says, I'm the elite. I know what's good for you. You're going to do what I say. And by the way, you should be poor along the way. Like, that's what his book says. It's
I
crazy.
think I think you make a. I just want to give you some credit because you have made me think. I think you brought up a really interesting point, which is the way that conservatives and liberals are thinking differently about this problem. And truly, I actually had never given that a lot of credence or even really a lot of thought about how the conservatives saw Trump and the emergent, what the liberals see as an emergent global threat, but certainly threat to Canada. Um, and really the way you put it was actually quite interesting. I don't really have anything to say. This isn't about refuting it. I just want to tell you that's an interesting point in my mind that is going to give me some thought.
I think
Yeah,
I
well,
think
it's.
I think
Oh, go
there's
ahead.
even one thing that we haven't even taken into consideration here. And okay, so we have the people that want change that are voting for conservative, and we have the lifelong liberals that are voting for liberals. We have people that were on the verge of voting conservative, even though that they're liberals, because they just recognized that the party was a disaster. Some of those people are now switching back to going for liberal because they like what they see with Carney. But what we really, I think, have to worry about is the people that are conservative now that like Carney better than Poilievre and think he's the guy for the job because of Orange Man Bad or whatever the fuck, his track record that everybody thinks is wonderful. I think that's the segment that could be the real dangers because listen, Jordan Peterson, me, everybody, other people that, are willing to be open-minded are saying, I can understand why people are smitten now or willing to vote for that guy. Whether it's a propaganda machine or not, like there's real people out there that really are thinking, wow, like this guy's actually good. Poilievre has dropped the ball. He was good before, but now he sucks balls. He's not he was good at talking, right? Like Poilievre was good on his feet, live in the parliament when he had Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland to throw bombs at all the time. But when you took that away from him and you prorogued the parliament, and now all you see is him talking on his own and not being funny or witty, and
call it what it is. He turned out to be a very weak candidate.
he's a dud.
I'm not like he is a dud. And the Conservatives need to also recognize that they're not dealing with the winner, which is what they thought they had in Poilievre the moment he experienced actual substantive challenge. Because Mark Carney is a very good candidate. I mean, I don't think any of us, whether you think he's lying or anything, I think we have to acknowledge he is politically astute. He immediately defenestrated the Conservatives on their core issues. And he knew that Poilievre, I didn't realize this at the time, but he obviously did, would not react. So I think we can acknowledge that he is proving to be a poor candidate. This does not mean, by the way, the Conservatives should lose. There are any number of reasons why it is the Conservatives' turn. Hell, I mean, if you ask me as someone who regularly turns a bit liberal, what my biggest fear is, I mean, we've kowtowed to the Quebec. I remember kowtowing to Quebec when they were going to separate. I was like, there's obviously something here, and we need to do something to change this. And we as a country did. Well, the West is doing that exact same shit that Quebec did, and it would be the height of hypocrisy to not acknowledge at this point the West's concerns, because they are agitated out the wazoo. And I can't believe in our area, in our neck of the woods, that this isn't a bigger issue. The truth is we need the West more than ever. We need their resources. We need their pipelines. We need what they can bring to the table. What they're trying to do is free their economy. And Ontario, in the same way that they looked at Quebec and said, Quebec, we understand your concerns, they need to be doing a better job during this election of saying, West, we understand your concerns. Because it's going to be a substantive issue that we can address right now collectively as a voting bloc that we are not. And to my mind, that there is the biggest unanswered issue. Of course, Poilievre isn't playing any of this. Poilievre isn't using this, isn't spinning it around that, isn't spinning it around, hey guys, you can appease and you can become friends with and bridge the national divide. I haven't heard any of that from him because he's a weak candidate. But it doesn't mean that the issues aren't real, and these issues are substantive. And I really wish that Canadian politics revolved more around the parties and national needs as a whole, as opposed to these simple creatures who somewhat head the party and then ultimately can, as we have seen, can change it on a dime.
Wonderful
Well, that I can't agree
closing
with you
remarks.
possibly anymore. Like the fact that our representatives don't represent us and they only do what the party leader wants is absolutely lost. And I agree with you in that respect as well, to say, I do think they should be focusing on our issues and not all, like the foreign policy or even trade is only a portion of our issues. And in my estimation, after the last 10 years, not a valid enough portion of our issues to forget the last 10 years. And here's something else. I mean, I vote not for the same party all the time. I'm not one of these guys that's like, I'm this guy forever, I'm that guy forever. I'll never identify myself with a particular party or join a liberal party or a conservative party or anything. I vote based on who I think is going to take the country in the right direction. And I made a hell of a mistake in 2015, like most of us did, right? And who knows? I'm hoping that maybe Pierre Poilievre is the mistake this time. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And anybody, what drives me crazy is the people that always vote for the same team no matter what.
I agree. Here. That is, I think, by the way, Canada has less political stagnation than almost any other country, but that doesn't mean that it is not a serious component of our electorate. And I totally agree with you. By the way, I voted Conservative last by-election to get rid of Trudeau in St. Paul's. I voted Liberal, I voted Green, I voted all over the map over the course of my career. I actually worked as a Conservative policy advisor at the very beginning of my career for the Mike Harris government, where I was the Attorney General's policy advisor. So I've been all over the map as well. But I truly believe that one of the biggest signs of ossification of your political economy is when ultimately you vote because that's the way your parents in your community vote, as opposed to keeping your mind open and actually understanding the issues that present themselves so that you can actually vote on substantive issues. I think that that's the healthiest form of a democracy. I don't think Canada's bad relative to its peers, but it certainly is nothing to write home about or be happy about.
Gentlemen, we can go on all day. I appreciate the both of you so much for calling in. Thank you so much. I hope you both vote the right way, and that is conservative because I said so.
Can I share just very quickly? I actually am
I doubt it.
I'm truly undecided. I'm trying to figure it out, and I hope something comes to me by Monday.
Well, we will send somebody to your house.
I waited in line, Darryl, last Saturday and voted conservative just for you in a riding that's already going to go conservative anyway. So,
well, I appreciate that, Steve. Thank you. Thank you.
I
know that Charlotte will appreciate
it. For the block.
Listen, it would be just so nice if we could vote for the person we wanted in power and we had an option that we actually wanted in power. That would be super cool. I don't expect it anytime soon. Hopefully you guys can visit back again Monday before the election, and we'll see where things are at. We'll be watching live on Monday. Gentlemen, appreciate everything.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it, and love you, D. I don't know you well enough, Mark, to say I love you yet, but maybe I do.
Oh, we have love between us. Come on, I feel it.
I will be the love that holds this together, gentlemen. I thank you both.
The love will be bridged by Darryl.
That's right. I am the love bridge. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, I mean, where do you get that kind of star power at the same time, live? Unfiltered. Only here, everybody. Only here. So, okay, let's get to the show now that we have some stuff to talk about. This was sent to me by Angry Ben the Architect earlier this morning. And this is one of the reasons, if not one of the main reasons, that maybe you don't have to worry. Maybe you're a liberal and you don't have to worry. I don't know if this is going to work properly, so bear with me. He sent me this video. I don't know how to make it. Hang on. One moment, please. Hopefully I didn't fuck this up. Did I press the button? How do I get volume? There we go. Press this thing. And I don't know how to get it to start at the beginning of the video. Okay, let's go.
Are going to win the next election? No chance. You're dreaming, and I'll tell you why. Liberals didn't bring in 500,000 refugees just for diversity. They brought them in to build a voting army, gave them PR, citizenship,
Look at all the people there, okay? And they probably are voting liberal, and they're everywhere, okay? They're everywhere.
Benefits, boom, locked in loyalty. These people don't play around. One community leader says, vote liberal, and 1,000 votes drop like that. No questions, no drama, just obedience. And you? Canadians? White Canadians? You're arguing over Trump tariffs while the country's being handed away. You're divided, soft, and emotional. You think posting a meme on Twitter is going to fix this? Canada's already lost. You're the minority now. And the people who replaced you, they vote together, they move as one. Meanwhile, you're arguing over tariffs and PhD studies. If you don't build unity now, this country's going to look like the UK in 5 years. And when that happens, don't cry. You let it happen.
Good enough to work. Good enough to stay. Good enough to work. Good enough to stay.
You think conservatives are...
Whoa, right? So let's not forget about all the, the conservatives and liberals that are already out there. Let's not forget about the ones that were imported recently, okay? Now, I got Charlotte calling me a couple times. She wants to say something. And then I told her I'd call her back, and she said no. So I'm going to call her back anyways and see what's going on here. Let's see if she's going to answer the phone, because I got a feeling she's heated. Bonjour.
So Mark is absolutely wrong.
Mark is wrong. Okay.
About Poilievre. He actually has said how he would handle Trump.
Hold on. Don't talk like so close to the phone.
Okay. Is this better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So Mark is wrong. Poilievre said that the way he's going to deal with Trump is very simple. We're going to agree on the trade, and then what we're going to do is whatever we can produce that is in our negotiation. If Trump goes back on the agreement, then we'll walk away and we'll produce our stuff and say, screw you. That's basically what he said. So he wants to be able to stand on our own 2 feet and produce the stuff that we can do ourselves. We don't have to worry about it. Just like Trump wants, okay, well, we've got our own lumber, so we're going to, we don't need your lumber anymore, Canada, which is not true, but anyways, it is what it is. So there are things that he wants to put in the clauses that if Trump walks away, then he has where he doesn't have to worry about going through the trade and complaining about tariffs and things like that. He could just say, okay, fine. That's no longer part of the agreement, and we're going to produce our own.
Okay. What are we talking about right now?
Well, Mark has said that Poilievre hasn't said anything on how he's going to deal with Trump.
Okay. But who cares what Mark said?
Well, I just think that he's saying things that he doesn't know he's talking about.
But that's half the country. This is what we're dealing with. It's maybe even more than half the country. I don't even know how many people in the country, I mean, including the 2 of us, we barely know what the hell we're talking about. Everybody has no clue what's going on right now. Everybody's being fed different news. Everybody believes different things, and everybody's coming from different perspectives. It's a fucking nightmare right now. But what we...
Well, the best thing to do is just to vote Conservative, get the Liberals out, and then if Pierre does what he says he's going to do, great. If he doesn't, well, then you just vote him out. You just need to stop the bleeding.
We got to stop the bleeding. All right. Well, I agree with you. We need as many people out there as we can get voting, regardless of where you're voting. But I mean, I don't want to pump Conservative, but I mean, that's where I'm voting. And not because I think Pierre's a good choice. It's just like,
he's not a good choice.
No, we have horrible choices here.
But the alternative is sell to China and sell to the United States. We're going to be sold out.
Right. So maybe China's a better choice.
No.
Why not? Why?
I don't want to be a communist country. You want to be a communist country? Great. Go live in China or Russia or Cuba. Let me know how it works out for you.
Well, but how is it working out for me here? Is it any different? Do you feel like it's not communist here? Like we have all these because we can buy Lululemons and Uggs and stuff. Like why? Like we're really just a bunch of we're just a bunch of prisoners here in Canada. No.
We still have free speech, but you put Carney in, he's going to bring back Bill 63, which basically says that you won't have free speech. And what we're talking about today will never be allowed to be talked about again.
I feel like we're already being censored. Like, I think that this show should be seen by way more people, right? I feel like I'm being suppressed. Because this is the best show on earth. Where do we get people like you on the line regularly? And Mark Morris and Steve Karish in the same show within 5 minutes of each other. This is a special place, Charlotte. And
I understand that, but what I'm saying to you is that it's going to get a whole lot worse. Right now, we do have free speech. They are trying to suppress it. You got Bill C-11 that has been passed. Then you got Bill C-16 that has been passed, and then 63 never got passed, but it's going to get passed if Carney gets in. He's just going to change the number. And there's a lot of YouTubers that are on the right side who say, okay, I'm scared. I may have to leave the country that I was born and raised in, or I'm going to be shut down.
Mm-hmm. Well,
now, if you're somebody like Rebel News who has lots of money, you could probably fight it. But if you're somebody who's like Jasmine Lane, you may not be able to.
Would you consider moving?
I can't afford to.
You can't afford
My life is in Canada. Just we'll have to learn to shut up and eat off the land.
But And you're okay with that? What do you think that will change if it's a conservative government?
The bills will not be brought in. Also, do you want? Okay, so did you hear the latest?
No, tell me the
So
latest.
next year,
Maybe I heard it.
Next year, they're going to start phasing out gas automobiles, and they're only allowed to produce so many. And then after that, then
once 2030, right? 2030, we all have to be driving EVs.
First next year, 2026.
2026 now. That's next year.
That's right. So it's going to start 2026 up to 2030, I think it is. It's 2035. But what happens is that, let's say you're only allowed to sell $1,000 1,000 vehicles that are gas powered. Anything over that, now you got to pay an extra $20,000.
Holy jumping Jesus!
It doesn't affect me. I don't drive, but
it
affects you.
I have cars. I don't need another car. I got too many cars. All right.
Yeah,
well,
but I'm just saying it doesn't. It affects people that have to buy or who work.
I think it affects everybody on some level, one way or another. But listen, I got to get to some other stuff. I love you. You're the best. Thank you for everything. Thanks for calling in. I love it when you're angry. This was fun.
By the way, Poilievre probably will get a minority.
I was hoping that the thumbnail was gonna rile you up a little bit more. But okay, we're gonna talk again on Monday. Hopefully, we're having a good time and we feel like things are going in the right direction. But
I'm eating supper while I'm talking to you.
You eat supper. I'm gonna get to some more news, and I got a feeling I got another caller coming in soon. So
perfect.
We'll talk soon. Thank you, dear. Okay. Au revoir to the infamous Charlotte. I got a feeling we're going to have another great caller soon. And I want to get to some other stuff here before he calls in, because I don't think you're here for the callers. Maybe you are. So here, I wanted to share this with you. This is what I was saying earlier. Canada appears to be seeing a reappearance of red Tories, moderate conservatives who are increasingly delusioned with Pierre Poilievre, shift towards more MAGA positions, many longtime conservatives who are concerned that the party no longer reflects their centrist values. I don't know how true this is. I don't know how many of them there are. Clearly, this is AI generated. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, I'm not considering it, but I would think about it, right? Not that I want Carney in charge, but I don't want any of these motherfuckers in charge. Certainly not that Jasmeet Singh guy. Let's see. That's an AI image. Big deal. Have a seat. Okay. I don't think we're going to get anywhere from any of this stuff here. So I just wanted you to see this image because I thought it was interesting and I thought it would spur on some discussion, but we had the discussion already. I'm late to the party that I'm hosting, and that's okay because there's always another party. Let's see. How about this guy? What's this guy saying? Here, check this out. People are having conversations with their loved ones. Pascal Angelheart says, my wife and I had a good discussion yesterday about our future in Canada. If the Liberals win again, we'll start the process of liquidating our assets here and move ourselves and the company to Alberta. We're done. What's the company? What does he have here? Mech engineering entrepreneur. Okay. He doesn't have a link, so he's a mechanical engineer entrepreneur. But us in Alberta are planning on jumping ship too. There's a lot of talk about it. Nothing will fix Canada if Carney wins. I'm not sticking around to pay the Liberal debt. That's why we're heading up there. Up where? Wherever you guys decide. Independence, 51st state we're in. Okay. If you move here, you have to help with the separation movement. Alberta has no future in Canada. Okay, so we're getting conflated here. We're getting people talking about leaving Canada and going to the, I guess, state of Alberta to do so. So that's kind of interesting. What about this? Who else is getting nervous about Monday? Present. What's Monday? Ha ha ha. Canada federal election. Wife and I have already discussed, have had discussions of where this is not English. We can't read this. I look at it three ways. One, Pierre Poilievre wins minority or majority, Canada stays. What? Mark Carney wins minority. It's not ideal, but workable because sellouts like Jasmeet Singh and Elizabeth May will be gone for sure. Canada stays barely. Mark Carney wins majority. Canada is done as a unified country and will be on the road to China or 51st, or this all sparks World War III. It seems like there's consensus about being worried right now. That I think is for certain. I think everybody is kind of worried about what the hell is going to be. And so let's see. I have some stuff here about Carney being evil. And I don't know if we want to hit on that or what we want to hit on. I think, you know what, if you want to call in, Mr. Jacobson, now is the right time. Now would be a great time for you to call in, sir, because we need to talk about the evil Mark Carney. And we need to warn people about what this guy is really about, what he's been up to, what his plans are, and how we're going to deal with this if he, in fact, does get voted in on Monday. And, you know, things like this don't help, okay? These two conservative premiers opposed Pierre Poilievre. Well, we're being interrupted, folks. So hang on one second. Let me get to this. One moment, please. Okay, one moment, please, sir. You're going to have to turn off your... hold on a sec. There you go. Mr. Jason Jacobson in the house, the acclaimed financing guru. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am nervous about Monday, to be honest with you.
Me too. Now, I've been trying to talk myself into being more optimistic, and I don't know if that's just self-preservation for my own psyche or not.
I think so.
But I just put together for a few people that I talked to yesterday, and I put together a thread for them, and I think that like everything that I've seen the last 3-4 days anyway has had the conservatives trending in the right direction. I just hope that we've had a long enough time for I guess it to cross back over, if you believe the polls, which I don't think I do. But just looking at, table salt, he was going on about the Atlantic provinces and how Nova Scotia and Newfoundland in the last, few days and last few polls have really started to trend towards the conservatives again. Central Newfoundland has already crossed over, and he showed a graph. CP24 quoted a Nanos poll that said the Liberals now only lead by 4, and the Conservatives are as close as they ever have been. Rob Hunter, who I'm sure you follow, he put together something where he said, he sees a PC minority, and he goes through how, ChatGPT helped him model all of that up. Golden Pup talked about the early voter turnout, and how when you have such a significant early voter turnout, when it's more than, I think he said 5% above the last election, each 5 out of 6 of those times the country has voted for change. You've got innovative research that are now saying the conservatives are leading. You've got anyway, a bunch of these things over the last few days has given me, I guess, a little bit of hopium. Maybe it is just hopium, but I think that maybe, because I don't believe the polls to begin with. I think Ecos is a complete pile of shit, and I think the rest of them, they oversample the boomers and they undersample the youth. So I don't believe the polls. But if the polls are all sort of going in the same direction now, then
I don't believe the polls. It's like, don't you get a vibe though? Like, isn't there this overall feeling of like conservatives are on the way down and liberals are fucking crushing right now?
Yeah, I don't know, because then you see the rallies again, and like Poilievre has one in Calgary. Yeah, like Poilievre has one in Calgary tonight, and 2 hours ago, I saw that there was the massive lineup outside just to get into this rally. Like Carney's not getting any of that action. He's got a bunch of boomers that he's probably paid to be there, or there's some kind of a blue light special that some coupon that he's given to them
But
after or something.
his
I don't know.
his voters are not the rallying type for the most part. Like they're all old.
Fair.
They don't want to fucking go out and deal with this shit, you know? They're like, I'm voting this way. What the fuck do I got to go do this for? I'm not saying I'm
Yeah.
right, but like, I mean, they're all generally much older, right? And I mean, if you know where you're voting, what do you fucking care if you're going to a rally for this son of a bitch? But I'm hoping it's all just smoke and mirrors, just like Kamala and Trump race was. I'm really hoping. But do you remember, if you go back another election to 2020? Like, didn't we all think that Trump was going to win? Didn't it seem like Trump should have won that one, and somehow magically it didn't happen? Like, is that not possible in this stupid little corrupt country of ours here?
Oh, you mean that there's corruption the other way, that the Chinese are going to influence this election so much that it won't matter what we do?
Well,
Or somebody pointed to the Calistanis today too, having influence in a lot of different ridings.
so there's that whole thing, and then there's just the voter fraud and like stealing the election through those machines made in Montreal, like they did in the States, right? And this like advanced voting. How do you control? Well, I don't know how you control any of the voting, but you give these guys a week with the ballots, and I'm sure they're coming up with, or they've came up with ways to manipulate things somehow. I mean, we can't sit here and pretend that there isn't manipulation. That's just fucking foolish and naive, I think. No?
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
So you know more than anybody that I know about the Chinese interference that's gone on, that's likely going on. Like what are they doing, and what can they do to really screw up this election for us?
Well, I mean, Joe Tay had to suspend his election campaign, I think 3 days ago, because the RCMP warned him that there's threats against his life. So, what the Chinese did, is they put a bounty on his head, and they've offered people, I think it's $137,000. It's like a million Hong Kong dollars to for somebody who will bring him into the Chinese consulate. And that's when Joe Chang, or is it Joe Chang? Yeah, the Liberal candidate who was forced to step down, he was caught in front of Chinese reporters saying, "Well, maybe somebody should try to collect on that bounty." Ha ha ha! Like just trying to incite, and he's a former police officer, so he knows damn well just how serious it is when China wants you at their consulate.
Right.
So they do that. They do, I read a story. I mean, Sam Cooper talked about how the last time, I don't know if it was Joe Tay or if it was the conservative who was running in the last election before Joe Tay, but they would go around door to door and talk to people, and CCP representatives would follow along behind and go into that house afterwards and say, "You're not voting for the conservative." So in some cases, it's that active. In other cases, they'll pull a Chinese person into one of these Chinese police stations that are here, both Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto. But they'll pull somebody in there, and they'll tell them which way they're going to vote at the threat of impacting some of their loved ones who may be back in mainland China.
Right.
So there's overt threats. So they do influence those elections, and that riding in particular, the one with Paul Chang. I mean, there were 11 that the Hogue Commission, was it the Hogue? Was that the one? Yeah, I think it was the Hogue Commission. Said that there was 11 ridings in particular that were influenced. But it could be more than that. Those are just the ones that they found. So,
well, how many Chinese
it's
like MPs are there all over the place that may or may not be, awakened at a phone call or a message on WeChat in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Right. Like, how many people are in places that forget about even just voting interference, just influence it all over the direction of policy and budget spending. I got to think
Yeah.
that has a bigger effect potentially than just voter fraud.
Oh, 1,000%. It's just we were on the topic of the election, but I mean, a lot of these guys are tied. I mean, Carney is pretty well directly tied just via his. Um, he while at Brookfield, he secured a $250 billion loan from China. He owns, well, through Brookfield, they own. It's a massive real estate portfolio in China. I think it's $3 billion or something like that. It might be more, but that number, it seems to ring a bell. Um, and if you think you're having these conversations with Xi and others around these financing deals, and you're not beholden to them for something, and then if you follow Sam Cooper, and Andy Lee has been big on this lately too. I'm sure you follow Andy Lee, but um, they make all these connections, and just demonstrate how, like David Eby, who's the premier of BC, one of his strategic advisors is a direct, like a direct report to, one of these to the Chinese. I don't know if it's who directly, but anyway, there's a lot of that from the top down, from business leaders. Like he talks about the Desmarais family, which is Power Corp. He talks about some of the old school politicians like Chrétien and Pierre Trudeau, and all these guys having um, you know progressively put us in bed with China over the years. Um, so yeah, I mean it's a big factor, and I ultimately think that's why Trump went so hard after us at the beginning with Mexico on the border, and I think it's because, I mean, he knows how influenced we are by China. He knows that our politicians are influenced, but he also knows that there's an incredible amount of Chinese crime here. I mean, the triads are here. Um, they bring in their fentanyl precursors, and together now with the Mexican cartels, the Sinaloa cartel is up here too, and one of their high level guys was actually arrested out in Vancouver. I think he's already been let go, but um, they produce fentanyl and other drugs, and then the proceeds, they ship that into the U.S. They ship that transnationally, and the proceeds from that they launder through our casinos, and they launder it through our housing industry, which is a large reason why we've got the bubbles that we do. But the U.S. knows this, not just Trump, but even Biden before. Antony Blinken had been in direct contact with some of the mayors in British Columbia, trying to get their help to clean all of this up. So, long-winded way of saying that I think when Trump went after us on the tariffs, I think this was a big part of it, that he doesn't want China on his doorstep, and he knows that our politicians and our economy are heavily influenced by them.
For sure.
So I think ultimately he's trying to build a moat around the U.S. I mean, he is very nationalistic, obviously, and this is part of it. He can't allow Canada to have Chinese infiltration. So I
I
don't know. And
Yeah, I
yeah, go.
think I mean, how do you blame them if China is your number one enemy for whatever reason, warranted or not? Okay, and you've decided to take this stance. I mean, it's no different than Russia not wanting NATO in Ukraine right on their doorstep,
Right.
right? It's like, why in the world would you want? I mean, it's not a secret that there's a lot of money laundering going on, and that there was a ton of emigration from China into Canada over the years. And there's no secret that they're up to some interesting stuff. Not that every nationality isn't up to some crazy shit here in Canada, but they definitely are. It's no secret. And I mean, he from one perspective, he should do something to try and shore up his border. But I mean, I don't know why he had to make us an enemy in the process. It's so fucking stupid. I can't even believe it. Okay, so listen,
Yeah.
I got to get to some more stuff, but I want to ask you, because we did talk about it the other night, and it's one of the things on my list here, and it's come up numerous times between posts on X and people that I talk to and friends I already know that have done it before. If the Liberals win on Monday, are you like starting to pack up your stuff and planning to move?
Yeah, the answer is I would really like to, but I'm getting a lot of resistance from my wife. So, um,
Yeah, that's why I'm
so
still here. If my kids would fucking
yeah.
come, my wife is sold now. It's my kids that are the fuck up now.
Well, yours are a
They're
little older than mine.
older.
I just tell my kids that we're moving, I
We're
think,
moving.
and they wouldn't like it either because my son loves his hockey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. Like I'm like, was it Charlotte who called in before? I think. I don't know. I'm kind of like her that I think that if Carney gets in, I think he accelerates his agenda. Like I think he's been trying to downplay all of his environmental zealotry and his net zero agenda and his globalist agenda so that it doesn't become a front and center piece of the election. But look, I think she's right. I think Bill C-63 comes right back, and then we are like the UK, where there's been 4,000 people jailed in the UK for Facebook posts, right? Like freedom of speech will be dead, I think, under him. I
There
think
goes
our
this
economy
show,
will,
right? This show's done.
yeah,
My other show's
yeah.
gone for sure.
Well,
I'm
I think
done.
our economy will be dead. Like
Mhm.
because he won't allow us to harvest our natural resources. I don't understand how it just doesn't come down to that.
That
It's like,
just that and pipelines. Like if you're willing to do
right.
pipelines across the country and willing to drill and mine like crazy, you're the
Yeah.
guy. That's the answer.
Like your caller who's on the fence, the liberal caller that called in earlier. Like I don't understand how it's not just that simple. It's like we have had the second worst economy out of all the OECD countries in the last 10 years under the liberals. That's
Mhm.
37th out of 38 OECD countries. And that's because we've been stifling our greatest resource, which is our greatest asset, which is our resource base. If we just harvested those resources, we could be one of the wealthier nations on the planet. In addition to that, we've had terrible immigration. Our crime is way up because our laws suck. And what's the and then yeah, just the unaffordability, I guess, like inflation and the unaffordability of housing. So those four things alone, we don't even need to get into China. We don't need to get into the fact that Carney is a WEF globalist freak. Like those four basic plain vanilla issues alone should convince a liberal to vote for conservative because they're the only shot we have.
You
And
would
I agree
think,
with you.
right? You'd think.
Poilievre is not my favorite. Like he's not far right enough for me. Like
Hmm.
he's positioned as far right in the media, and he's too Trump and he's too this, but he's
He's
not
not. No.
close to far right enough for me. Um, so he's not perfect, but he's our only chance.
He's our only chance, and I guess we'll talk Tuesday morning and decide where we're heading.
All right.
All right, buddy.
Well,
We'll
good.
talk
Good luck, man.
soon. Thanks for calling in.
Okay.
Always a
All right.
pleasure.
For sure.
Another hard-hitting phone call, friends. Where do you get so many unbelievable callers in the same day at the same time? So many perspectives. Holy Jesus. And these are from some sharp guys, I must say. Okay, like you're getting some cream of the crop dudes here, I gotta say. Okay, let's get back to where we were. We were talking about these conservative bungholes. Doug Ford, who I did like up until recently. I still kind of like him, to be quite honest. These two conservative premiers oppose Pierre Poilievre. They're sending strong signals to voters to vote Liberal and defeat Pierre. They've decided to put Canada first over party politics. Hopefully you guys are looking at my screen. And for that, they've earned themselves a special place in history. I don't know if this is true or where this comes from. Oh, look, the Liberals found two premiers willing to throw conservative values under the bus to keep their comfy seats at the Liberal buffet table. Let's be honest. This isn't putting Canada first. This is putting power first. Blah, 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 blah. Is this the beginning or of rebirth of PCPC? Okay. The only place suitable for these two treasonous, filthy fucks and you is the trash bin of history. You look like you suck a lot of whoa with your whoa. Okay, so there we're getting nowhere once again. I apologize for that. But people are saying that Ford and this other putz here are both pushing conservative voters in the liberal direction. I don't know why they would do that, to be honest with you. I don't know why they would do that. And I don't think that I'm going to get to the video that I wanted to get to with you guys about how evil Mark Carney is, because I feel like we're running out of time. I mean, there is a considerable amount of you here, and I do appreciate that. It has been an hour and 15 minutes. I'll be honest with you, my tummy kind of hurts, right? My tummy kind of hurts. I think something needs to get out, so I will bid you adieu until Monday. And please, if you haven't voted, whether you're voting liberal, whether you're voting conservative, like, go out and vote. It's not a big deal. It doesn't take much effort. Go do it. And let's make this a real election, friends. Let's actually get in who the majority of the people want in. Shall we? Thank you.